Hello there, people of the internet. Today's kind of a rainy, crappy, wet day. I'm trying to record as much as I can without getting rained out. Not really working out in my favor, but I'm going to continue trying simply because I feel like shooting stuff today. I'm sure a lot of you wish that you could shoot things as well. A lot of you don't have ranges that you can get to immediately. Luckily, I have one right on my property. So a lot of times I kind of try to hunt down ideas for videos, and I do this by watching other videos. For the most part, it works out. But I've decided to go ahead and start hunting down video ideas in the comments section because, by God, I get a lot of really interesting comments from a lot of people. A lot of them make a lot of sense, and a lot of them are from people that are actually knowledgeable about firearms, and they tell me things that I was, potentially incorrect about, and I learned so much from so many different people on this channel. That's one of the best things about making a channel like this, because I'm so interested in the topic. We have experts coming out from every single corner that know so much about some of the things that I talk about. Unfortunately, we have people that think that they're experts that have no freaking clue what they're talking about as well. And there's a lot of people on this channel that show up just like that. However, I'm not going to cover these people that have no idea what they're talking about because the internet's full of them. I would be here literally all day, every day, trying to cover people like that. And I'm not going to cover the information that people cover for the experts. I'll probably just make separate videos on that. But what I am going to start doing is I'm going to start talking about some comments that I'm getting based off of people's opinion and whether I agree or disagree with it. I think that it's really going to turn out well. Today, the comment that we're going to be talking about is a comment by somebody named Nintendo Kid. Solid shout out to Nintendo Kid. Whoever's comment I decide to include in this, I'm probably going to shout him out unless they, tell me otherwise. He says, meh, the only real advantage to the more modern AK47/AKM has over the SKS is magazine capacity and maybe the pistol grip. If we're talking about anything actually modern like the AK100 series, I don't really know enough about what difference with those. I don't really know enough about what's different with those. I'd say I gotta learn how to read, but I just need less sunlight behind me because the glare on this screen is phenomenally bad. And he has a good point. At the price point that you can get an SKS at for a semi-automatic 7.62x39, you can find them still typically for around $300 to $350 if it's been bubbaed and butchered and sporterized. Oftentimes you can find them for less than that. Hell, I almost picked one up off a gun broker that had a polymer stock on it for $220 something, but I decided not to because I've already got Russian Tula Armory SKS and my Romanian RH10 and a couple of different AK47s. I didn't really need a sporterized SKS. I'd much rather spend that money on ammo, especially right now where the ammunition is ridiculously expensive. So considering the price point, I definitely understand why someone would want an SKS over an AK-47. However, I wholeheartedly disagree with the real advantage being the capacity and potentially the pistol grip on the AK-47. SKS has aftermarket magazines in which they can hold 30 rounds. I've seen the drum magazines that can hold 100 rounds. Unfortunately, these aftermarket magazines are not very reliable, to say the least. Not only that, but another perk the AK has over the SKS is reload speed. Anyone who's tried reloading these magazines, these aftermarket magazines, they're not fun, and you're better off just loading in from stripper clips from the top of the magazine. The profile of the external magazine for the SKS, if you're rocking the aftermarkets, is also extremely unorthodox. It's got that large nub on the front of the magazine. I'll throw a picture up somewhere, but it's got a large nub on the front of the magazine. Try carrying a pouch full of those things and let me know how well that works out for you. The AK47 is also a much shorter platform than the SKS is. Factory made. I know There were some paratroop model SKSs, but they're extremely uncommon in comparison to the regular SKS military production. But the AK-47 is oftentimes a much shorter platform, even at the full-length AK-47 rifle. But they also make, pistol versions of the AK-47 versus the SKS. So, far shorter gun. It's also a far lighter gun. I have no idea how heavy these guns are, but I know my AK-47 is significantly lighter than my SKS. The AK-47 from the factory, most of the time, also has a built-in rail that allows you to mount optics to it. The SKS does not allow that. You'd have to bubba it up if you wanted to mount optics to your SKS. The AK-47 is also a far simpler gun, and it's much, much easier to take apart than it is with the SKS. There's far less small parts in the AK-47 as well. I remember one time I almost lost the gas piston, the little one in the SKS system. Anyone who's ever taken apart SKS, you know that little tiny gas piston. I almost lost that at some point, and I would have been screwed if I ended up not being able to find that thing. There's no toothpick gas piston in the AK-47 that you might lose, and there's several more complex pieces in the SKS. The gas system is far more complex in the SKS than it is in the AK-47. I didn't mention this in the comment that I put in reply to this guy's comment, but the SKS also has an issue with, we'll call it slam firing. If there's any sort of gunk, debris, cosmoline, anything like that in the firing pin chamber, it will actually slam fire the gun and you'll have a full auto SKS. And anyone who's ever taken apart an SKS knows how unorthodox it is to take it apart and put it back together. It's not the best system for disassembly and maintenance, especially if you are out in a field like I am here. If you're, in a shop, a workshop somewhere, and you have a, table to work on, it gets easier, but I'd much rather disassemble my AK-47 than my SKS. And the less complicated gas system, significantly less complicated gas system in the AK-47 compared to the SKS, means if you're firing corrosive ammunition, the AK-47 is so much easier to clean. Now, one thing I will say, SKS, better trigger pull than most factory AKs. I will full on admit that. If you get yourself a factory AK and it's not one of the extremely high-end AKs, odds are the trigger pull is going to suck compared to the SKS. Alright, I think I've rambled on about the differences of these two guns and why I think the AK-47 is a significantly superior platform. Yes, I do agree that the pistol grip also makes it quite superior. Of course, and if you're in an extra liberal states like, say, California, the SKS doesn't have to have some sort of stupid modifications to it to make it legal. So that is one area where the SKS is superior to the AK-47. You don't have to modify the damn thing. 10-round magazine, no pistol grip. Unless you're rocking like a grenade launcher attachment, which some SKSs have, or some sort of muzzle brake, you don't really have to worry about any sort of issues with this thing. I keep gesturing down there. This is what I have down there. I have my Tool Armory SKS. I figured we'd go ahead and fire off a couple of rounds simply because why the hell not? We're at the gun range. People like watching me shoot stuff. That's kind of why I'm here. So here's our Tool Armory SKS. Here's the reload system for these things. If you have the aftermarket mag on this, you gotta pull this thing back, which is a bitch and a half to do. And you gotta draw your mag off away from the little catch that's inside this thing. And then you gotta line up your new magazine with that catch and snap it back on. And then you're good to go. But unfortunately, that's a lot easier said than done. This right here is my AK-47 that I'm going to be running. This is a Romanian RH-10. I have an optic on it, simply because I was talking about how the AK-47 has optic mounts on it right from the factory, for the most part, unless you're getting yourself some sort of stupid, cheap knockoff AK-47. And I have a 10-round magazine simply because this is just what I have. Not only that, but there's a significant ammo shortage in the United States right now. And I'm only going to fire like 5 rounds from each rifle, simply because I buy my own ammunition. And seeing as both rifles do have the capability of accepting, you know, more than 10 rounds, having more than 10 rounds in either gun really doesn't make sense for the sake of this comparison video. Now, if I had a standard, if we were talking about standard capacity for the SKS is 10 rounds, and standard capacity for the AK47 is 30. So, there you go. Unless you're rocking aftermarket mags for the SKS, you're going to have a better capacity with your AK. Of course, I could throw a drum mag on my SKS, which I might do just for fun. Why the hell not? And at that point, that SKS would have a far higher capacity than the AK-47. One thing I do absolutely adore about the SKS in comparison to the AK is the fact that you can load it from the top. That is one thing that I wish more rifles had. Some sort of built-in loading system to where you can just load your magazine directly from the rifle. I don't know why, but man, there's just something about that. I'm also going to point out that I personally, this is just an opinion on my part, personally, I love the safety on the SKS way more than the safety on the AK-47. If you're talking mil-spec AK-47s, the AK-47 is also fully automatic, so take that for what you will. Full auto 7.62x39 is not necessarily very controllable, but it's better than like full auto 308. I don't know what the people designing the M14 were thinking. Alright, well, I got a couple of rounds in this SKS. We'll go ahead and lob them downrange just for fun. This is just full metal jacket, steel case stuff. I wouldn't exactly call it cheap stuff because with the ammo shortage going on right now, no ammo is cheap. Alright, I'm just going for my steel silhouette out there. I got a big hunk of concrete out there holding that thing up because I have no other way to fasten it. That car is too shot up for me to fasten that steel silhouette onto it. Alright, SKS fired 5 rounds absolutely flawlessly. I mean, it does exactly what the AK-47 does, if that's what you're concerned about. It launches 7.62x39, pills downrange. But in terms of everything else, the AK has the advantage. Every time I fire that SKS, I don't know why, but it smells like rotten eggs. I don't know what the hell is causing that, but every time, like right as I start shooting, it smells like rotten eggs. And here's the disadvantage to the AK-47. I have to pull out the magazine in order to reload it. God, how it does. I hate it. I definitely, absolutely, 110% prefer loading magazines whenever they're in a gun. And I definitely prefer loading from stripper clips. The reason why I didn't load the SKS from a stripper clip in this case is simply because I didn't think about it until right now. There you go. I think that's about 5-ish rounds. I got a 3x9 power scope on this thing. We're sitting at about 45, 50 yards, somewhere in there. So, yeah. I'll probably make my hits on target, but this thing's sighted out for 100 yards, so I'll have to aim low. Okay, let me go ahead and turn this down from the 9 power to the 3 power, and let's see if this old girl is still sighted in after all this time. Oh yeah, she's fine. Definitely fine. Can't really tell where I'm hitting it, but I'm hitting it, that's for sure. I should have spray painted the thing before I started shooting at it. This way I could tell where my shots were landing. Oh, would you look at that? A very convenient can of spray paint. I'll be right back. I ought to just keep me a can of spray paint out here for occasions such as this. Alright, I have 5 rounds left in my pocket, so I may as well burn them off. No sense in going home with them. Nope, did we chamber around? We sure did. Alright, I'm going to aim a little above center mass and we're going to see where we're going to hit. Nope, I'm going to aim a little under center mass because we're closer. Well, that's pretty much center mass. Yep. Let's see if I can hit that in the middle. Man, that was close. Alright, this thing's pretty much spot on. Nice. I should have gone out to a further distance and taken those shots. I think that would have been more fun. Oh well, next time maybe. Alright, well, I hear the pitter-patter of rain starting to come down, so I guess I'm gonna go take shelter inside again and hopefully come back out whenever the rain slows down a bit. Hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and I look forward to making my opinion known more in terms of the different kind of comments that I get. So thanks for watching, guys. If you like this kind of stuff, as you can see from the car down there, I do this kind of stuff all the time, so subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, do me a favor and actually like the video. YouTube's very anti-gun right now, so every like, every subscription, every share definitely helps out greatly. Check out the description down below. You're going to find a link to Patreon, Discord, social medias, my gaming channel where I get really, really drunk and play video games. That's a great time, and definitely something I thoroughly enjoy doing. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind having some whiskey. I think it's a rainy day. I'm tired of running around trying to get out and in, so I might just drink some whiskey, do some video editing, and relax for the rest of the day. And then again, man, that gun range looks so good. I'm going to go decide what I feel like doing. I hear rain, it's coming down harder, so I'm going to take care of what I need to take care of. You guys go off, have a fantastic day.
Been a little while since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen. It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.